Neither WJOU or its licensee, Oakwood University, necessarily share all the views expressed in its programs. They are, however, presented as public information.
Good afternoon and welcome to Second Chance. Second Chance is a weekly talk show that examines a wide range of social issues and seeks to inspire physical, emotional, social, and spiritual healing, believing that God is a God of second chances. And through faith, all things are possible. Second Chance airs live each week from the beautiful campus of Oakwood University and features real people with real issues and offers real answers. And now, here's your host, Kenneth Anderson.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. As always, Kenny Anderson in the studio. Delighted to be here on this beautiful Sunday afternoon, as we have been for so many years now, offering inspiration and information to the Second Chance radio broadcast. It is my privilege to be here with you once again, and especially on this significant weekend, which is Memorial Day weekend, where we honor those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our nation. And so at the very start of this broadcast today, we honor all of those who are being remembered over the course of this. Many who have served and many who have not returned as a consequence of their service. And even those who have, and as a result of the injuries that they may have incurred on the battlefield and their life, paid the ultimate. Today, we thank you for your service, and we thank you for sacrifice. All of us are better as a consequence of that. As always, I am privileged and delighted to be here with you on the Second Chance broadcast, and I'm going to give those of you who want to check us out on Facebook just a short opportunity to do so. You can jump over to Praise 90.fm and you can check us out live this afternoon. You can also go to our YouTube page, which is Praise 90.1 FM, and you can check the broadcast out there. And of course, many people are listening to us around the world right now because we are at WJOU.org on the net. And never forget those who are in the local area listening on 90.1 FM. I am privileged and honored to have this opportunity to share this beautiful afternoon with you. And of course, we always take these special opportunities, to welcome special guests to the second platform. And it's my privilege this afternoon to do that. Let me introduce him at this time. Dr. Marco Clark is a well-respected author, speaker, and veteran in the world of urban education. He's the founder and CEO of the Richard Wright Schools in Washington, D.C., by News and Media as America's toughest because of his no-nonsense approach to Black excellence, especially in academics, and the turnaround specialist with years of experience developing community initiatives, making culture waves. He discusses social issues, graduation goals, behavior pitfalls, and other topics. And because of that, he is the perfect guest for our broadcast to kick things off this afternoon. Welcome to the Second Chance platform, Dr. Marco Clark.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for all the work that you're doing in the community and just being a very positive voice. We need you, so I'm excited to be here today.
Yes, sir. Well, we're happy to have you. And of course, I'm excited for a lot of reasons. It's a significant holiday weekend where we remember some very special people, but also because this is a time of year that I get real excited. In fact, I call it my second favorite season of the year, and that's graduation season, because all around us, the excitement of educational excellence is being experienced across the spectrum of our lives. And of course, you are right there in the center of these opportunities in a very, very significant way. Dr. Clark, would you just share for a moment with me about how you directed your life and your purpose into the arena of pressing for educational excellence?
I tell you, I started out kind of rough road. My educational journey was a pretty tough one. I came through a situation of a poor public school education, didn't really have the teachers or the administrators who were really functional in the way that they should have been. And understanding that I was just blessed that I had two parents that I had to be accountable to. And so with that, it gave a trajectory of me to realize that if I got to a point that I would ever become an educator, that I would fix the things that I saw as a student to ensure that no other student felt the same way I felt as a student sitting in that chair. It's interesting. I graduated from high school with a 1.6 grade average, 480 on the SAT, and graduated in 5 years instead of four. So I had a really true rough time. And by the time I got to college, I didn't understand how I got there. So, I got with a great professor who sort of turned my life around with education and made me understand that education is the great equalizer. And so now that I have that understanding, I realized I could pour my energy into changing and being a change agent across the country. And I've been blessed and I've been able to do that so far.
The power of mentorship, I'm going to dive right into that and not miss that opportunity because for me, you hit the nail on the head in two ways. One, education is the great equalizer. It levels the playing field in so many different ways and propels us to opportunities that we may not experience beyond that. But just having somebody to put under one's wing and be able to support them in that journey is valuable and important. Would you just talk a little bit about the importance of that role?
It's amazing to have someone that's outside of your family that can actually tell you that they see something special in you. The understanding that someone has taken their time to evaluate you as an individual, someone who is evaluating your work and your potential goes a whole lot further. That's why it's so important that we continue to build these bridges with individuals outside of the family, outside of the house, that will give a fair assessment, because when you hear from them, you know that it's real. It's not about love. It's not about the fact that we have the same bloodline, but it's something really, really happening that you need that understanding. And so mentorship to me has been the key to my success. As a leader, I've been able to, travel many different stages. I've crossed and traveled internationally and spoke internationally. But the greatest thing about it is that I have a mentor in every way. I have mentors. I have so many mentors I can't even count, because what makes you great is knowing that you have an evaluator that's going to be honest with you, but somebody who's going to pull you up when you need it. And you can't buy mentorship. That is something that is so valuable to everyone.
What do you think is the greatest challenge facing our educational system today? I know that's a big question, but again, you're right in the thick of things every day. You're in the trenches, you're on the ground, you see what's happening. And if you had that opportunity to really define what the greatest challenge is, what would you say that is?
Some people are going to think I'm going to say money. Some people are going to think we're going to talk about facilities. Some people may say that you're going to talk about the political aspect, but I'm going to hit it in a different vein. Parents are the catalyst to great success of young people. If having no having not having parents who are making their children accountable to them, uh, that they're building bridges with the institutions of learning, is a challenge in itself. And so the parents to me are the biggest I would say the challenge that we have, that we in serving what we need to do, because a lot of parents unfortunately are not on board with educators. And so we have the biggest fight trying to establish ourselves with parents and establish ourselves with the community based on the work that we do. Unfortunately, educators are not respected like they used to be, and that is creating such a disdainment with educators that they're ready to walk out of this arena and retire early and do other things because they feel abused by the group of individuals that they are serving.
Yeah, and that, of course, that particular issue has so many different layers because of the many challenges that are being faced within communities today. I want to isolate the question to the Black community for a moment. And I want to talk about some of the unique challenges that are being faced by Black parents in communities today and Black students in our communities today. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, we get to the biggest part of it is always funding. I mean, it seems like the schools that have the largest number of students of color get the least amount of access to materials and things that they need to excel to the next level. They get the worst teachers, and traditionally, when you look in different systems, larger school systems, the worst schools have the newer teachers, the ones who are not as seasoned as the others and understand how it goes. You get the novice individuals who are trying to train and fix young people who need the most help. Those are the biggest challenges that's happening around. The facilities are not the same. And so the exposure of having a network opportunity is the challenge that's going on with the students of color, Black and brown children across the board. But we have to also understand that no Superman is coming to save us. And the reality is that there's something that each person can do that's in a community. We got to go and start saving our schools ourselves, because as you save a school, you save a community. Because people who are thriving in education, kids who are educated, they have options. And if we don't get people in the community, you may not be an educator. You may not, that may not even be your thing. But if you can get in and mentor and take on a school that you're close to and become a part of it, we can change things without funding. It's about sourcing the help that someone's willing to volunteer their time and efforts to make things work.
What are community-based groups and organizations? I'm talking about the faith-based organizations. I'm talking about our fraternities and sororities. I'm talking about some of our traditional organizations that exist in communities today. Their role, and what is your experience been, I'd say, in the last few years with regards to their involvement and engagement?
When we look at the faith-based community, unfortunately, they have not done enough. There's thousands of people who are at church on Sundays and throughout the week, but unfortunately, they're not in the schools. Now, I can tell you the number. I have a couple pastors who are on my board, and they are the exception to the rule. But at the same time, there are not. There are more churches and communities where the pastors and the deacons and the trustees, they're not visiting schools. That's where we're talking about that we can reclaim our community if we can continue to provide mentorship. All we need people to do is volunteer their time. That's what I said. There is no Superman that's coming to save us. But the reality is that it seems like we're waiting and asking for everything to come through dollars. That's not going to happen in our community. But it's unfortunate that we don't meet these pastors until something happens in the community. Someone gets killed or something happens traumatic. Then we're going to hear the prayers and all of those things that go along with it. There's nothing wrong with praying, but the reality is that sometimes the work has to be done in the immediate so that we can hopefully be preventative of those things from happening.
Yeah, and of course, the whole notion of being proactively engaged is a huge issue for me. Far too many times, as you said, we do react across the spectrum of our lives regarding things that are going on in our communities, and we oftentimes even act as if we're not aware of certain things or we're not connected to certain kind of information that is out there and available for us. And so that leads me to my next question about, we mentioned parents and the power of parents in this process. I grew up in a public housing development with parents who were economically deprived in ways and economically challenged in many ways. But education was a huge priority in my family, and my parents found a way to make it over to TA meetings and make sure that they were holding me accountable for my academic experience. And so you also have boards of education, and you have those meetings, and you have those forums where things are discussed regarding the education journey. Talk about the significance of those things in terms of the academic journey of our young people.
It's important for parents to be involved in that process, the decision making, those things that are happening at those board meetings. It's important for them to look at, not to be critical, but to really analyze the direction of their child's academic ability. and academic direction, it's also important to find out whether or not kids are going to have exposure to things outside of the normal building or the normal building business day, because it's so important for them to navigate the next level of their life with doing that. But unfortunately, at those meetings, typically you find parents complaining about the wrong thing. You have parents complaining about proms, not having enough proms, not having activities that will require things that are fun rather than those things that are academically exceptional for young people to have. And so these are the kinds of things that we encourage parents be a part of being a builder, because we were all meant to be builders. Be a part of a building block of support, and understanding that educators are also they're human, so they make mistakes sometimes. And so you're these people have trained their entire lives to serve, and the reality is that they're trying to serve. So if a person's trying to serve, you got to be willing to work with them in the process when they're genuine at heart. And remember that that is a bridge that should never be broken, because at some point parents have to understand that you're not going to be the one that has to go back to the bridge builder, meaning the educators, to support. These kids are going to need recommendations letters. They're going to need things after they graduate from high school. You don't want to burn that bridge from anyone who can support you moving forward.
You're saying something I think that's really, really valuable, and I hope that the audience who are listening at this time don't lose this. And that's just the whole notion of allyship. I think that, and I firmly believe that this concept of academic excellence and academic success is really about a partnership. It's no one person's responsibility. And too many times I think we have a myopic approach to education. So oftentimes the community looks to the school system, and the school system looks to the home, and the home looks to the community. And in reality, it's about all of us coming together and deciding. That is an intentional decision, deciding that no child is worth losing in academic pipeline, because there's other pipelines in life that young people can pick up or get redirected to as a consequence of their ability to be successful within the academic pipeline. And so this, of course, is, I think, extremely valuable what you're sharing this afternoon. Some people just joining us, so let me let them know who I'm talking to this afternoon on this special Memorial Day weekend. Dr. Marco Clark is a respected author, public speaker, and veteran in the world of urban education. He is founder and CEO of the Richard Wright Schools in Washington, D.C. And I want to back up to that for just a minute so that we can contextualize more what we're talking about. Tell me a little bit about your founding of this school.
What's interesting is that I've been a lifelong educator. And so as I worked through the traditional public schools as a teacher, a dean, assistant principal, and what I saw in the traditional system is that we saw kids who were coming, first of all, I was a high school principal, and I saw kids coming to high school not understanding about credits, not understanding what their graduation perspective was going to be in any direction at all. And so we had kids who were in the ninth grade winding up spending 5 years in high school. And because of my own experience, I wanted to ensure that that didn't happen to other young people. I also saw that people were making decisions about young people without actually talking with them or sitting down, going through the data, because a kid has to be a privilege to their own learning journey. And somebody has to explain what testing looks like for them. And so with this, I heard about this charter school thing, and that we had the ability to not holistically teach, but individualize education. And I would also have the ability to individualize the curriculum, so I could work with a student at every level they were to help move them along as they needed to, at the pace that they needed to, and support them without a district saying that you got to complete so many chapters before the semester's over. That's not that's not authentic learning. And so when I heard about this, they said, well, you can get a group together, fill out an application, and actually come up with a theme. And so our theme is around journalism and media arts. So we're teaching young people to do exactly what you're doing. And the reason being is that because the voice matters. We recognize that we were going to serve groups of young people who were behind 3 to 5 grade levels in reading and math. So I recognize this. If you became a great journalist, you would have to fix what? your reading skills. And if you fix your reading skills, because you got to do research in order to be able to be a great journalist, if you fix those reading skills, then your writing skills will improve. So if we can fix reading and writing, then if you can get both of those things together, you'll develop a voice. So you'll have an orator. So you can go back in your community and you can work with one person that changes the community, one person at a time. We also wanted kids to understand that sometimes your writing has to be so well, because there's a lot of rooms you can't get into, but your writing can get there, and you will have a bigger voice by being able to put something there in writing. So we opened up the Richard Wright School for Journalism and Media Arts because we wanted to give a voice. And the other thing is that I got tired of hearing and seeing what was on the news at the top of the hour, is that you saw 10% of the young people being recognized on television for doing awful things. But nobody ever talked about the 90% who are actually working for their aspirations. And so I said, if we can do this, these kids will have a voice to spread the good news about the great work that they're doing and the aspirations that they have.
I'm so excited, and I was speechless for a moment, but I guess I need to speak because I'm the host. But I'm so excited because I always tell people when they're asking me, what do you think it takes to succeed in life? And I always start with reading and writing. I'm like, if you can read and if you can write, there will be nothing that stands in your way in life. You will be able to go to heights that you never even imagined you'd be able to ascend. And so it's such a powerful thing. It's like, again, growing up in a public housing apartment on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, didn't have a lot of things, didn't take a lot of vacations, but there's a library right up the street from where I lived. And I would stop at that library every day. I'd come home with a handful of books. At Christmas time, I would ask for an almanac and book of facts. I mean, I got down with the get down because I knew it was important for me to expand my world and my access to things as a consequence of that. And of course, it paid off for me as I have gone on through life as well. And now I'm in the public speaking arena, as well as so much more, doing what I do. And I just love it. So, Dr. Clark, I love what you're saying this afternoon. And I co-sign with everything you've said so far, because that is exciting. I do want to ask you a couple of other things, and I'm clearly going to have you come back because you are a wealth of knowledge and information, and I'm watching our time and we are running out of it. But I got a couple more things I've got to ask you. HBCUs, which I am a huge advocate for and supportive of and graduate of two, Oakwood University and Alabama A&M University, are, for me, essential to the education pipeline. When we start talking about educational excellence, would you share a word about your perception of the value of HBCUs?
I'm a graduate of the Clark Atlanta University. That's one of my HBCUs. I have three that I've graduated from, and I tell you, it saved my life. It saved my life. The nurturing aspect, but not just the nurturing, the requirement to study hard, to work hard. And the third thing is to be able to see what I could become. I saw a mirror image of what my life would be projected. And so when I look at now this progressive Dr. Clark, I think back to the young man who had a 1.6 grade average, and that was a failure. And then I went from failure to PhD. I'm excited about what the HBCU did for me, and not letting up. I mean, a lot of people think that because you go to HBCU, it's going to be easy. Actually, HBCUs are harder because we recognize we got to be 10 times better. So you're not getting off the hook when you go to a HBCU. You're going to have to put in extra work because we're always working to prove ourselves. And that information is streamed, and it is the ritual of itself gives you this blueprint for life. And this life blueprint says that you can persevere through anything.
Wow, that's powerful. I'm a big proponent of community service for students and young people, engaged in the community in meaningful and significant ways, giving back even before they get everything they're getting. What are your thoughts about the value of the service as it relates to young people?
We do that every day at Richard Wright Schools. What I'm telling everyone is that you can't lead if you're unwilling to serve. And the service is how you become the leader. So there's not one thing that a leader should be unwilling to do, because leaders are able to do it all and do it with a smile.
Yeah. What can and the cost of a college education, of course, is not something that we can take for granted. It's not something that we can presume. We know that many people, especially people of color, have to go to school on some kind of financial aid. Talk a little bit about that for just a moment, about the significance of creating opportunities for young people, even before they get level. And I know that through the community engagement piece, that's part of it, extracurricular activities, they can earn scholarships, good grades. But even beyond that, what can students be doing and parents be thinking about to position themselves and prepare themselves for that next step of college?
Well, people have to understand that getting yourself in position starts with grade 9. So you don't wait until you're in 11th grade, 12th grade to figure this out. So you start a blueprint with your child in between that time at grade 9. Hey, what direction are we going? What they may not know everything that they're thinking about at that time, but get us a little few snapshots and then slowly start to introduce them to the collegiate life and begin to understand what that's like. While you're doing that, make sure you're starting to look at scholarships and then look for degrees that will allow the government to relinquish the debt once you go and work in these things like STEM and different areas that they can be involved. Continue to get your young people into service projects. So there's a lot of service projects that you can start working on that will relieve the student loans so you wouldn't have to pay them back. So there's a whole outsourcing, but it starts at grade 9 in high school. Get them involved early on so that that becomes a part of their regular acumen, and you'll see the best come out of them, the best and the brightest. And then we understand that we are working towards those things, that we know that there's not a lot of community, a lot of money in our community. However, we need to make sure that we start to band together, and small scholarships mean a lot. A lot of people don't understand that. But one of the things with my daughter, we went for every $500 scholarship, $250 scholarship, because those things added up once she got to college.
Yeah, I tell you, there's so much in what you have said today. And I hope that those who are listening have taken good notes. I hope that they're sharing this video feed, because they can do that this afternoon, especially those who are watching us on Facebook and YouTube. I hope that you'll take this very valuable information, that you'll share it with other people, whether you have kids in school or don't have kids at all. This is great information for community building. And I'm so glad that we had a chance to talk with Dr. Clark this afternoon. Dr. Clark, you've got a presence out there and people can reach out to you. And of course, I know you love to connect with folk and seek to inspire them and create opportunities for them. So how would people connect with you?
They can follow me at Dr. Marco Clark on Twitter. You can follow me at Dr. Marco Clark on Instagram or Facebook, or you can reach out to me at 860-997-6803, and we can begin to have some conversation. I'm excited about the work that's being done, and I look forward to helping any community in any way that I can.
Outstanding. Give us that phone number one more time, because somebody's looking for it in the right way.
860-997-6803.
Dr. Marco Clark in this afternoon. He's the founder and CEO of the Richard Wright Schools in Washington, D.C., touted by news and media as America's because of his no-nonsense approach to Black excellence, especially in academics. And it has been a pleasure talking with him soon. Dr. Clark, I look forward to our next conversation. I hope you have a great day and a great weekend.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Take care, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Mark joining us this afternoon from his base in Washington, D.C. And we, of course, are that he took this time to be with us this afternoon to share the information that he provides. As I said earlier, this is a time of year. I'm real excited about academics. For those that know me well, you know that I am an academician. I about 16 years at Calhoun College in the classroom, as well as being a department chair and then an academic dean. And so I'm very passionate about learning. Some of you who know me know that I have 2 academic scholarships at Community College and also at Oakwood University, with the hope of establishing more scholarships in the future. And so this is a very important conversation, a very important dialogue, and I'm glad that you took the time to be with us this afternoon. Dr. Marco Clark, thank you very much for that great nation today. We're going to come back in just a moment with some more information just for you this afternoon, tailor-made for you, on this Memorial Day weekend broadcast of the Second Chance radio show. I'm Kenny Anderson, and I'm going to come back in just a moment with more information. We'll be back.
Spring turns to summer, and summer to fall. Fall turns to winter for sure. Seasons change, joy and pain. Life is full of change. Sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's cold. You start out young, then you grow old. Out comes the sun, down comes the rain. Live and you learn, nothing stays the same. You plan for the future, but how could you see that some things were not meant to be? We make our plans, but it's all in God's hands. Life is full of many changes. Sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's cold. You start out young, then you grow old. Out comes the sun, down comes the rain. You live and learn, nothing stays the same. Everything happens for a reason, a purpose, a plan, and a season. And with each day, you'll find a way to embrace each moment. Set a good truth. Sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's cold. You start out young, then you grow old. Out comes the sun, down comes the rain. You live and you learn, nothing stays the same. Just like the weather, things are gonna get better. So until then, keep yourself together. Woo! We all go through. Changes. We gotta go through them, yeah. Things don't stay the same, they don't stay the same. We go through change. Oh, yes, we go through changes. It's gonna be alright.
Transforming
lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Many people talk about 6 degrees of separation, and I'm going to prove it today. Because whenever you mention the name Eric Thomas, it isn't but probably 1 to 2 steps of separation between myself and those who know Eric Thomas, motivational speaker extraordinaire. I was talking with a brother recently and just kind of mentioned, I didn't know I was dropping a name. I just mentioned the fact that Eric Thomas, such and such and such. He's like, Eric Thomas? oh man, I wake up every morning and listen to his mixtapes and his YouTube videos, and brother was all gassed and excited. I was like, wow, that's that there Thomas I know? It sure is. And guess what, folks? I got him in the studio today at Second Chance, Praise 90.1 FM. E.T., what's up, brother?
What's going on, Kenny?
Man, I'm doing great.
Okay, I got to start here, and I know, everybody wants to know the secret juice you drinking to stay young. Because every time I see you, you the same age, man. What's going on?
Man, I'm drinking the secret juice.
Okay, all right, I need to get the recipe before we get out of here. Yeah.
We can drop the ingredients
all right,
your way.
please,
No
man.
problem,
I need
man.
it, man.
Man, it is really good to see you.
Likewise.
I know that you're constantly moving, so I appreciate the time that you're giving us today to talk a little
Had
bit
to
about.
come, man. Anytime I'm in the building,
Man.
I have to be in the building, man. You know, your audience knows, man. The Lord used you, to give me that gateway opportunity, my first big shot. And I will forever be grateful for that, man. It will owe you eternally. I'm going to owe you your great, whatever, man. Any of your family members, like, Kitty, I do whatever, man. So it's good to be here. My only regret is I hate it for the audience, but I haven't seen you in forever, so we're going to be spending a lot of time just catching up.
That's right.
Yes, indeed.
That's right, man. Listen, I'm delighted to have that opportunity to do that. I know I follow you like a lot of other people do. It's almost impossible to do that for this reason, though, because you are so motivational. You are so inspiring, and I want to take this opportunity. I've already done it on the phone or through email, Facebook or something. I want to say congratulations to you on attaining a milestone in your life, your PhD.
Absolutely.
It's something that you've worked on a long time.
That's good.
And brother, your story is like GED to PhD and beyond.
Yeah.
And it is just a phenomenal thing. Congratulations
so much,
on that
man.
accomplishment.
Yeah, and thank you for, being one of those guys who are not only congratulating folks on the phone, but doing your part, to help brothers like me to get that opportunity. I almost got chills coming to the studio because I don't know if you know it, but man, Second Chance, come on. I don't know if you know it, but I saw Second Chance and the next door, the Leap program.
Oh,
The Leap. The Leap program. And so to all my, Leap alumni, Miss Paul, everybody, man, Dr. Frazier, everybody that went after me. E.T., where are you? We know you traveling the world speaking. I mean, I was young, in my 20s. We know, but you got to get that degree. Yeah. You have to get that 4-year degree, and so, man, they tricked me. Dr. Paul, Miss Paul called me because she know I love her. We was talking on the phone. She said, hold on one second, and put Dr. Frazier on the phone. Like, why are you putting my man on the phone? Like, I'm not even interested in talking to my man. And he just checked me. E.T., get your 4-year degree. You started, you need to finish. And so just seeing the LEAP program, man, second chance. God gave me a second chance. And so I can't sit here and act like, I just breezed through 4-year, breezed through master's, breezed through the PhD and just got it on my own strength. No, man, there's thousands and thousands of people who should have got, y'all should have all walked with me. I should cut the degrees up in small pieces and give them to everybody that contributed, man. So I love y'all, man, and definitely, appreciate, man, the congrats, man.
Well, your story and your journey has grown, obviously, over the years. Absolutely. And so I just want to take us all the way back to D-Town for a second, though, man. That's where it all began for you.
Absolutely.
Talk about those beginnings for you.
Yeah, man, humbling, man. It's weird when you get to this place and you see that God has an anointing on your life and that he will do whatever it takes to get you where he's destined you to be, And so early, God started breaking me. Homeless at 16. A good friend of mine when I was homeless took me to a revival, for one of those tent revivals. I don't even know if they do that anymore.
Old school, man.
Old school. Living Waters, Dr. Philip Willis, that's where it started for me. Left home at 16. My mom got pregnant at 17 and made some choices for the both of us that I wasn't necessarily happy with as a child. And so I rebelled. I started running away from home probably about 13, 14, but left for good at 16, lived in abandoned buildings, ate out of trash cans, slept in cars. It was rough, man, but God was sharpening me, and so I just want to encourage anybody out there. Sometimes it feels like you like a pencil that got broken, but when you get broken, now you're multiple pieces, and then God can sharpen those ends. And that's what he did. He sharpened me. You know, he sharpened me, got me in church. You know, Pastor Willis started challenging me, like, get your GED, go to college. And I was fortunate to start dating a girl in church. Yes, a girl in church. That's what I said.
Come on, be a witness, brother.
And sister girl got her high school diploma, said she was coming to Oakwood and she would break up with me if I didn't get my GED and follow her. And so I got my GED. What the counselors couldn't do, the teachers couldn't do, the doctors couldn't do. Sister girl got me to do it, man. And I follow her here. We've been married almost 26 years to this summer. And so, yeah, man, long journey. But, you know, when God has a plan for you and a purpose for you, he'll do whatever it takes to get a return on his investment.
And, you know, one of the things one of the reasons I've always been solidly in your corner was because you came to school under those circumstances here in Huntsville and Oakwood. And you came with not just a vision of getting your own success, but you came with the vision of planting success in other people's minds, man. And I remember as a member of an organization that's defunct now, the 20 Distinguished Young Men of Huntsville.
Because there's so many of y'all not. Yeah, right. It's more than 20, so you couldn't be 20 no more.
We've multiplied, right? And although that group no longer exists, I just remember the amazement of seeing you as a young cat out there, man, making an impact in Sparkman Homes, man, working with young people and talking with them about getting their thing when you had not even finished your journey yet. What was that for you, and why was that such a powerful thing in your life at that time?
Enter to learn, depart to serve. You know, enter to learn, to depart to serve. I saw it everywhere. The cafeteria, you know, it was on letterhead. You know, it was insignia all throughout the campus.
And it wasn't just a slogan.
No, it was real, man. Enter to learn. You know, Pastor Ward would put us on the bus, you know, send us to the hospitals with sack lunches. You know, I would see people sing and preach. And I think what made it unique for me, man, I didn't know if it was something in the water because I didn't grow up in church. So I got to Oakwood, they could all sing, preach, play instrument. I'm like, they drinking a different kind of water, you know? And so I was just in amazement that there were young people who could just at a drop of a dime just start singing. You know what I'm saying? Somebody could just play.
Any group.
Any group. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was like about a million Take Sixes. They were just the one that ended up, you know, getting signed. You know, they could preach, man. And so for me to be in the midst of all that talent was unbelievable, you know. And so I just wanted to do my part. You know, Elder Ward really pushed that service. Dr. Hyman gave us the Eyes on the Prize series in class. Blew my mind. I didn't know who Emmett Till was. I never really studied about, you know, Stokely Carmichael and Marcus Garvey and Malcolm. I didn't really study that. It was something in Detroit, you know, so that stuff changed to see what our people had gone through in the South. You know, the Selma movement, you know, the bus cop, man, that stuff, I just was like, whoa, all that stuff's coming at one time. And I was like, yo, these people sacrificed for you, and look what you're doing. You're a high school dropout. You disrespect your parents. Like, you're not taking school serious. And it was like, yo, you got to get your stuff together. So when I started seeing the movement and how our people sacrifice and suffer, I'm talking about died, lynched, I was like, whoa, I'm getting books like Souls of the Black Folk. You know what I'm saying? E.B. Du Bois. I'm reading about how Booker T. Washington and all these guys, they walked thousands of miles and just all the sacrifices they made. I was like, you need to get yourself together, and then you need to do what your people did. It's in your DNA to while you're trying to be successful, to help others to become successful. So I just think, man, it was in the culture, it was in the DNA of Oakwood to enter to learn and depart to serve. And who said you had to wait till you graduate? You know, Elder Ward told us as soon as you got here, Sabbath after Sabbath after Sabbath, you need to be in the community blessing somebody. And look, I know some of my friends from during my time frame would, you know, debate me, but hey, I had a bed, man. I hadn't had a bed in 2.5 years. I had food. I had a 3 square meals. I couldn't tell you the last time before I came to Oakwood that I had 3 square meals, a roof over my head, you know, worship, man. So for me, coming from being homeless to Huntsville, Alabama, specifically Oakwood, you know, University, man, it was a second chance on life. It was like, you know, I had a heart attack or I had, you know, some chronic illness that I was healed from.
We're living in a generation of young people who are poised to take over the world. And here's the difference between them and the X's and the Y's. The X's and the Y's had ideas, they had a little more information, they had some enthusiasm, but the millennials like saying, look, we got that and we had that.
Right.
what we are ready to do right now at 22, 25, 28 is take over the world. We want to run for political office. We want to run companies. We want to actually lead the way in these processes.
Absolutely.
Don't exclude us.
Absolutely.
Listen to us and help us be a part of this process. What do you say to these millennials today as you talk to them, and what kind of energy do you feel that you can probably help some of the old school cats
Absolutely.
understand why they need to be included?
Absolutely. And I tell my young people this all the time. We playing checkers. We playing chess, not checkers. And for many of them, they're just thinking about the now. And I get it, Kenny. I've been there, done that. I was the young gun that you guys met that was out on the streets doing my thing, and you guys had to pull me to the side and say, we feel you. But are you trying to win one championship, or are you trying to create a dynasty? What are you trying to do? Because if you're just trying to help some people get their GED and you never want to be remembered again, or you don't want to be personally developed, go for it. But if you want to be a dynasty, ET, we're not talking about, again, I'm from Detroit. We're not talking about the Detroit Pistons. We're talking about the Lakers now. We're talking about Boston now. Yeah. We're talking about the New England Patriots. You're talking about Green Bay Packers. We're talking about a dynasty. And so I would say to my young people, if you're just trying to do, 4 years of success, 5 years of success, go do it on your own. Start young and get right in the game. But if you want to be a dynasty, then you have to get engaged in the process. Look, I know y'all love Steph Curry, but what I don't like that you don't understand is that Steph is only doing it now in the spotlight because he did it in private for so long, that he put in so many hours of practice. Look at it. He's got his relationship with his wife together. He's got his relationship with his family together. He's got his relationship with his daughter together. He's got his relationship with his game. He's got a triple-double in his life. Why? Because of what he does in the dark. He has spent countless of years preparing. Joseph prepared. Moses prepared. All the greats, Martin Luther King prepared. And so I'm saying to you that if you just want to be great for 2-3 years, you want to win 1-2 games, in the Eastern Conference Final, you just want to win a couple games, then go for it. But if you want to be great, you have to go through the process. And that's why when I thought I was at my peak, Kenny pulled me to the side. Lamar pulled me to the side. David pulled me to the side and said, no, Eric, you need to learn how to write grants. You need to go back to school. You're a great practitioner, kid, and nobody will ever debate that. You got a gift on you, but put some theory with it. Put some theory. Allow some theory to inform your practice. We're not telling you don't practice, but we're telling you need something to inform your practice, so that you don't keep making the same mistakes. So, guys, the name Eric Thomas, and I say this with so much humility, to God be the glory, but it will be a name that you will hear for a long time, not because of Eric Thomas, but because of the generation before me that groomed me, that chastised me, that discipline. Listen to me. I was disciplined. I used to give my key to some students, and they threw a party. The 20 got on me, God. This wasn't life wasn't no crystal stair. They chastised me on a regular basis, but why? They loved me. And now they're getting a return on their investment. I didn't have just one brother, Mark Lacey. Yeah. I didn't just have Mark was in the, I had all kinds of brothers writing, brothers speaking, brothers models. We had it. We had a Big Mac. We had some police officers, and I was groomed. I was taken through the fire. And I came out shining because they put it on me. And so there's no forum I can go in the streets. I can go with the mayor. I can go with the governor. I can go with the president. Lamar, they prepared. He was a lobbyist. He taught me how to speak in front of the mayor, how to dress. They sat me at the luncheons, and we did the etiquette. I learned the salad fork and the main fork, like the soup spoon, the dessert. Like, these brothers sat me down and groomed me. So if you want to be great, then you need to be groomed. But if you just want to be successful for a couple hours, for a couple minutes, then you go out there go on with your bad self and do it without any preparation. But if you want to be great, you have to do what the greats do, and that is spend more time on practice than we do the day of performance.
We'll be back with more of Eric Thomas in just a few moments. We hope that you're enjoying the conversation. I'm Kenny Anderson. It's Second Chance. Hope that you're having a great day.
Just a few years ago, I had a chance to sit down right here in this studio and have that conversation with a dynamic young brother named Eric Thomas. I am always thrilled and delighted to be able to replay that segment because it means a lot to me.
I had the privilege of being a part of Eric's early growth and development. And I tell people oftentimes, Eric was always going to be who Eric was going to be. It wasn't so much that any one of us who had a chance to engage him made him. He was self-made, but he was always a person with tremendous potentials, tremendous abilities, and I deeply respect him and his journey in life. He's a dear friend, and I love to reflect on that opportunity. In fact, I'm going to call him up and tell him that we need to get him back on a nice, fresh conversation on this broadcast. I'm going to do that soon so that I can have that for you soon. I'm going to come back in just a moment, and we're going to share some more information with you this afternoon on the Second Chance broadcast. I'm Kenny Anderson, and I hope that you're having an amazing afternoon.
Praise is what I do when I want to be close to you. I lift my hands in praise. Somebody lift those hands. Just praise is who I am. So I will praise him while I can. I bless him at all times. And I vow to praise you through the good and the bad. I praise you whether happy or sad. I praise you. This is my testimony in all that I go through. Somebody said why? I said because praise is what I do. 'Cause I owe it all to you. Come on, church. Come on, church. When I wanna be close to you, I lift my hands. Somebody lift him. My hands in praise. Somebody said so the devil will hear you. Praise is who I am. Come on, praise the Lord. Praise him while I can. I bless him at all times. And I vow to praise you through the good, and the bad. I will praise you whether happy or sad. Somebody lift your voice and say, praise is what I do. Praise is what I do. Even when I'm going through. When I'm going through. See, I've learned to worship. Woo. See, I want to let the devil know tonight, no, my circumstance. I will not be depressed. It doesn't even stand a chance. It's my praise outweighs all the bad. Somebody lift your voice in this place. Somebody lift up your voice in this place. So do this, praise is what you do. Oh, the devil can't stand your praise. The enemy can't stand your praise. Oh, you might need healing in your mind. You may need healing in your spirit. Praise is what I do. Oh, the enemy can't stand your praise. It's what I do. Lift your voice, lift those voices, and do what you do. Praise it. I do what I do. What I do. Does anybody believe God for anything in this room tonight? Go ahead and praise it. Somebody do it. Somebody do it. Somebody do it in this room. Somebody lift up a praise in this room.
You know that the ice cream scoop has the power to make a child smile, and that by slowing us down, the traffic light can keep us going. You know that the golf tee brings friends together, that the mailbox keeps them connected. You know that the cataract laser helps you look to the future, while the pacemaker ensures that there's a future to be seen. You know that the lawnmower, the clothes dryer, and the elevator make life easier, that the blood bank makes life possible. You know that these things we count on every day started as ideas. But did you know all these ideas came from the minds of African Americans? Support minority education today so we don't miss out on the next big idea tomorrow. The United Negro College Fund, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Please visit uncf.org or call 1-800-332-UNCF. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Why do we say praise 90.1 FM? Because the blessing is in the praise.
And I shall live, live and not die. I shall
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound to save a wretch like me. Said I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see.
Filling your day with songs of praise. Praise 90.1 FM.
People always ask me, why am I always so happy and never down? And why I'm always laughing and how they never seem to catch me with a frown. Some may think it's not real, and I know that a lot feel it's a show. So I wrote this song to tell you about someone I am familiar with and know. So I tell them that it's you. You're the reason why I smile. There's so much that I can say about the man I'm referring to. Jesus, 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 Jesus. All the praise belong to you. I wake up every morning thankful of what you're doing and just to see. More blessings that the Lord has in store for me. Now you may not understand about the man I'm talking about. I'ma say his name again, and when the song ends, try your mouth. So I tell them that it's you. You're the reason why I smile. You pick me up when I am low. You pick me up when I am low. That's what you get when you're his child. That's what you get when you're his child. There's so much that I can say about the man I'm referring to. About the man I'm referring to. Jesus, 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 Jesus. All the praise belongs to you. All the praise belongs to you. Now, Lord, you are my best friend now. And Lord, you are the reason that makes the world go round. Now you may not get the credit 'cause the world seems to forget that you are the reason why they're here. So I'ma be the voice to lift your name up and rejoice and make it clear. So I tell them that it's you. You're the reason why I smile. You're the reason why I smile. You pick me up when I am low. You pick me up when I am low. That's what you get when you're his child. That's what you get when you're his child. There's so much that I can say. There's so much that I can say about the man I'm referring to. About the man that I'm referring to. Jesus, 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 Jesus,
Hey, Dr. Phil here. I help people solve difficult and trying personal problems every day on my TV show, but there's one problem that's just got me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. That's 1 in 5 kids who may not know where their next meal is coming from, despite the fact that there's more than enough healthy, nutritious food out there to feed them all. Now, I don't know about you, but that is unacceptable to me. Luckily, the Feeding America network of good people is out there collecting surplus food and giving hope to hungry children and their families at local food banks all across the country. But let's face it, they can't do it without your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Welcome back to the broadcast. I want to say thank you once again for joining us on this very special Memorial Day program. It is, of course, a beautiful Sunday afternoon, and where else would I be but in the studio on the afternoon of every Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Now, once again, if you're just tuning in, you can join us at WJOU.org on the net anywhere in the world. You can also pop on over to Facebook Live and YouTube and get the Second Chance experience by going to Praise 90.1 FM. And of course, I like to post it on the Second Chance page, which is the number 2 ND Chance, as well as my own personal page, Kenny Anderson. So lots of different ways to pick up the broadcast today. Of course, if you're within the local listening area, then you can go to 90.1 FM. You can check us out on the radio. We know that you're listening this afternoon, and we appreciate you tuning in and joining us on this very special day. I, of course, have had some great conversations so far today, and I'm feeling very inspired. I've got another couple of guests joining me at this time, and I'm so happy to have them on the broadcast. I'm going to introduce them at this time. Keisha Hammonds is the president of the Miss Black Rocket City Scholarship Foundation, a 501c3 tax-exempt organization that serves as the arm that provides scholarships to the Miss Black Rocket City Scholarship Pageant recipients. She's also the founder and director of the Miss Black Rocket City Scholarship Pageant, which she established to spotlight Black women's academic achievements, talents, and community involvement right here in the Rocket City. As a scholarship pageant, the focus is not just on beauty, but on education of our Black women. Mrs. Hammonds resides in Madison with her husband and 2 sons. She serves as a mentor, volunteer, Sunday school teacher, and substitute teacher in her community, so she's very busy. Her mission for the Miss Black Rocket City Scholarship Foundation is to assist young women of color in pursuing higher education by providing professional development workshops and awarding academic scholarships. We welcome to the broadcast this afternoon, Keisha Hammonds. Welcome.
Thank you.
Happy to be here. Yeah, it's okay to speak. We're on the radio, so.
You can hear me, right?
Yes, it's good to have you this afternoon on the broadcast. And the Queen is here, too. So, crown and all. So let's go ahead and introduce her, folks. You're missing a treat if you're not on the Facebook Live feed right now or the YouTube feed. You got to jump over there right now at Praise 90.1 FM so that you can see all the action live in all its glory. Nivea Eggleston, did I say that correctly? Nevaeh, thank you. Nevaeh Eggleston was born and raised in Huntsville. She is a 20-year-old rising junior at the University of Kentucky, majoring in mathematics with a minor in Africana Studies and Statistics. I love her already. Currently, Nevaeh serves as an undergraduate assistant teacher in the math department, secretary of diversity student ambassador for the admission department, shift captain and co-development chair for Campus Kitchen, and an ambassador for UK Aspiring Sports Professionals, student chapter of Association of Women in Math, and more. Whew, I'm exhausted. While holding honors in Phi Sigma Theta National Honor Society and National Society of Collegiate Scholars. When she is not in school, can you imagine this, folks? I mean, wow. How much can one person do? Nevaeh is proving you can do a whole lot. When she's not in school, she serves in the Huntsville community, volunteering, feeding the homeless, collecting clothing and coats for various organizations, and reading to children at the Early Works Museum. Nevaeh is the reigning Miss Black Rocket City 2021 and will crown her successor on this coming June the 18th, 2022. Nevaeh Eggleston, Queen. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
So good to have you all here this afternoon, and what a beautiful opportunity and occasion. We've really been celebrating academic excellence all afternoon. We began with a conversation with Dr. Marco Clark, who's the CEO and founder of the Richard Wright Schools up in Washington, D.C., talking about his perspective. I did a replay with my very good friend, Eric Thomas, who is known as E.T., the hip-hop preacher, and we talked about academic excellence and success. And here we are one more time talking about not just beauty, but brains. And this, of course, is the brainchild of Keisha. Tell me a little bit about how you got this started. What was your inspiration?
Well, my inspiration was just my personal journey through the world of pageantry and competing in the predominantly white pageant, and then competing in a pageant with other women of the African diaspora. So it was just a seed that I put in my head after participating, and I always wanted to bring it to life when I was in a place where I thought I could have time to do it. And Huntsville is it.
Yeah, so, you, of course, don't have the atypical experience of having done pageants before, but you do have the atypical experience of starting one yourself. And, of course, this is not something that you just do. It certainly has to be something that you give some thought to. You're kind of inspired by some things. You're hopefully having a support system that comes around you. Just talk to me briefly. Give me the Cliff Notes version of how do you actually put something like this together?
Well, like I said, it's been sitting on my brain for about a decade. And then in 2017, I had a group of ladies that I had ran this by, and they were like, this is a great idea. We have a very smart city, affluent African-American women, we have our HBCUs here. And so we were like, this would be a great opportunity just to help our young women who are going to college, and to also just give them that option of being in a pageant that isn't just your typical pageant, that just is about beauty, that has substance and character, and that we really want to spotlight the quality of a well-rounded woman.
And Nevaeh, how do you learn about this pageant, and what is it that inspires you to actually enroll to qualify?
So for sure, I think the most thing that I did was I went online, and Miss Hammonds had put on Facebook, she had put on Instagram, she had put on like a couple of pages, and I found it, and I was like, oh, I've never done a pageant with all African American girls. Like, let me learn more about my kind, my people in Huntsville, because, Huntsville is a small place, in some type of ways, but at the same time, you can reach a lot of people that are well educated, love community service and things like that. So being a part of this pageant for sure has given me other friends within the Huntsville community that want to do the same thing that I want to do. And then it also helps pay for school, which is a key thing.
Well, I'm going to applaud on that, because that's another thing we talked about earlier about the opportunities that exist that a person can provide support for their education. And there are opportunities like this out there, clearly. And that's why we're talking about this today. Nevaeh, tell me about the process. So you learn about this opportunity, and clearly you submit an application and do some other kinds of things. Talk about the journey towards literally becoming the queen.
So we do 3 stages, so basically 3 practices, and Miss Hammonds and a group of other ladies walk us through our platforms, which is how we're going to reach out to our community. So mine was childhood hunger. So basically I took that and we expanded on how I could go through the Huntsville community and better that and reach out to these things by donating, helping, feed, whatever I could do. We worked on walking, we worked on interviews, we worked on, standing, we worked on talking, just to better ourselves, not just for the pageant, but for life, because things like this you need in life. Like as a junior going into college now, I'm interviewing with people, I'm talking to people, So learning how to better talk, learning how to better present myself, better clothing, things of that sort help for the long run. So I use the 3 things that we did in practice, basically to get through the process of the pageant and win. All my competitors, I love them. Shout out to them. Shout out to the girls that are going through the process now. Also, we started practice yesterday. But I also use it in the community now. So I've attended a lot of events where I've spoken, or a lot of events like coat drives and things of that sort. And then also through my Instagram page, because it's not only out there in public now, we have to also, redo our Instagrams, our social medias, because as teenagers, most of us have like some crazy things out there. So I want to present, to young ladies like, hey, community service is cool. Getting your education is okay. Like all these things are great. So being able to do that through this pageant has been very successful.
What is that moment like when you hear your name being called?
I think I've had different feelings. I feel like for this pageant, I hadn't participated in pageants for about 3 years, and I decided to jump into this one, and I was like, I'm gonna get back into it. And I was like, you know what? If I don't win, at least I had a great time. I met some great young ladies. I met Miss Hammonds. I met a whole bunch of people in the community. But I think when they called my name, I was kind of shocked. I was like, okay, wait, me?
That's my name.
Yeah. You kind of forget your name for like 2 seconds, and you're like, me?
That had to be just an incredible moment. I can only imagine what that's like to invest in the things that you've invested in. And I think one of the most important things that I can take away from what you're saying is you don't wait until the pageant begins to actually think about, becoming the winner. That you have invested in your community, you've invested in your education, you've actually laid that foundation so that when this opportunity, I always say success equals opportunity plus preparation. So you prepared yourself effectively so that when the opportunity presented itself, you were able to succeed in the process. And Keisha, I wonder when you are working with this process, this pageant that is your baby, your dream, your vision, your passion, yes. What are you hoping to communicate? What's the message that you want to give to the young ladies that are part of this process beyond just the pageantry itself?
Well, we're definitely focused on a well-rounded young lady. So we want any girl who has ever considered doing a pageant to feel like this is a safe space where they are confidently beautiful, no matter their hair, no matter their shades, because Black women are beautiful in all of our shades and our body types. So our pageant is geared for everyone to come as they are, uniquely beautiful. And we want to really just showcase that beauty of the Black woman and all of our different characteristics, and just the beauty of how smart, how brilliant these girls are, how service driven they are, how they care about their community, how they care and are invested in their futures. We just want to shine a light on that because there are so many girls out here who exemplify that. And we've been so blessed to have 3 amazing young women who have worn this crown, who every year they just show me that these girls are just leaders and they're our future. And I'm proud of them all because they're just phenomenal.
Nevaeh, traditional pageants, the ladies always have a theme or a passion or purpose that they focus on. Is that part of this pageant?
So for the most part, I think that we focus a lot on scholastic achievement and community service. So like I said, you choose one community service. And I mean, I had one community service, but I also, being going to school out of town, I kind of took that there also. So I think the main thing is to stay within your roots, but also to reach out to other communities around you to better them. Because at the end of the day, we're all in this one little country. We got to survive somehow.
What do you get most out of community engagement? Because that is, of course, my mantra all the time. You want to get me excited about something, tell me about what you're doing for somebody else. Tell me about what you're doing to invest in someone else's life. What is about that experience for you that really drives you and keeps you in that space?
I think for the most part, it's really just helping other people. So to see when I go out to I went to Athens for a carnival, to see the little kids come around and be like, hey, oh my goodness, it's a real life princess. Just to see the excitement in people's eyes, to feel like you've done something, like you said, for your community. Because at the end of the day, I live in this community just like everyone else does. Everyone on this radio listens, and they hear every single day something new, something, extravagant. And so to be able to give back to your community and still live in a great place, I mean, we're number one now, so we got to keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
We are.
That's right. And for those who may be just tuning in and perhaps just waking up, Huntsville has been named the best city to live in the nation by U.S. World and U.S. News and World Report. Of course, we are now the largest city in the state of Alabama as well. So Huntsville is definitely on the rise. I could never ever imagine when I came here so many years ago that this little city would become what it has become. But it really is amazing because you've got all these different opportunities. And here's a pageant that speaks to a specific demographic that we certainly want to make sure we're paying attention to and taking advantage of the opportunity to nurture and build up in terms of providing support for the journey. I want to ask very quickly about your, and this is Nevaeh again, I want to ask you about your choice of Africana Studies and Statistics. Now, is that a double major?
No, sir. So I am majoring in math. So I went into college not knowing what I wanted to do. So I went in math, and then I have a minor in African American Studies and statistics.
Put all of that together for me. Tell me how do you get to that space, and what do you hope to do with that?
So I went into school, and I will say this on air, I did not know what I wanted to do in life. And I still honestly am a little shaky about what I want to do. So I went into school, and I was like, hey, I'm good in math, so I'm going to go major in math. So I got to the University of Kentucky, and I was like, you know what? I kind of want to learn a little bit more about myself personally. I was like, let me find something that interests me, but not so much takes away from my major. So I found Africana Studies, which is the study of African Americans. So basically, I can take a class, African Americans in Africa, African Americans in Europe, African Americans in Antarctica, just learning more about African Americans in general. So I study the history, the politics, the gender, and I can break it down into specific things. And then statistics basically just came with the math major. So numbers. And I was like, hey, I already do numbers. Let me add that on there. So in the broad landscape, I've watched a lot of ESPN. And so coming from Alabama, Roll Tide, And so I have decided that I will be doing data analysis and hopefully for the sports industry or for the government in the near future. So this summer I am headed to Boston for a data analysis internship. Wow. So we're going to try it out and see how it goes. We're still in life, so.
Well, there's one thing that's clear is that you've got some great options and a bright future in front of you. I am always inspired by those that tell me that their major is math or their minor or major is statistics. I'm like, oh, really?
Smart, very smart.
I like, go for it. And, you're not alone, too, when you say that you were not really clear about where you wanted to be in terms of the path. And, of course, I think young people today who are in the space of academia will have some amazing things happen over the course of their lifetime in terms of the direction, the opportunities that you'll be presented. And you, of course, have laid a tremendous foundation through this process right now. We got just a few minutes, and I know we've got a big event coming up on June the 18th. And Keisha, you want to let us know something about this when the crown will be passed?
Yes, so we are super excited to kick off Juneteenth celebration, and we have Monday off because it's an official holiday. So everybody come join us. We have 6 dynamic young women representing our city. We have a high school student. We have a young lady who is in a technical school. We have undergraduate students, and we have grad students. So we have an array of women, and they'll be vying for the title, and they're going to compete in interviewing, fitness, personal style, and evening gown and Q&A on stage. And it's June 18th. We're excited. This is our 4th pageant, so we're still pushing.
And where will it take place? Did I miss that?
Yes. Because I didn't write it down. I don't have it on the top of my head.
Okay. Where can people... where can people get information about the event?
Everything is on our website. You can follow us on our Instagram and Facebook page at Miss Black Rocket City Pageant, or the Miss Black Rocket City, which is Nevaeh's page. But it is on Wall Triana at Restoration, their fellowship hall. I don't have the address, but it's off of Wall Triana, and it's going to take place at 6 p.m. So yes.
Yeah, I think I know exactly. I think I know where that is. I think it's just off of Capshaw.
But what the address is.
Yeah. I think I know where that church is, actually. So that's okay. Well, it sounds like an awesome opportunity. These 6 young ladies that are gonna vie for the crown. I know, Nevaeh, you characterize your experience as, if you won or didn't win, but the reality is that anybody who enrolls in this process is a winner. And so you were a winner before you got into it. You affirmed that by getting the crown, and you will now continue to affirm that by passing on that crown and continuing to strive for excellence in your life. We celebrate you today for all the great things that you're doing now, the things that you're investing in our communities around this city and around the state of Kentucky. And we, of course, appreciate you, Keisha, for sharing this with us today and giving us an opportunity to talk about it. Once again, folks, it's a big event that's taking place. It's Miss Black Rocket City. There's a scholarship foundation that's a 501c3. You definitely want to go check that out, because if you're looking for something to support, this might be something that you definitely want to land on and provide some support for. Ladies, thank you for this opportunity this afternoon. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
All right. Have a good afternoon.
Yeah.
All right, folks. I hope that you had a chance to really dive in on that conversation. Really good stuff today, folks. I mean, I'm inspired. Just want to go do something more than what I've been doing, because I'm doing a lot. But I mean, every time I hear people that are out there doing stuff, they're on the ground, they're making a difference, they're moving and shaking, they're making an impact in the community. It just inspires me even more. And I'm just so appreciative of the information that they had to share with us on this afternoon. We look forward to seeing more about this pageant, the Miss Black Rocket City pageant. It's coming up on June the 18th. And we will definitely post some information about that on our Facebook page as well, which is the Second Chance page. That's the number 2 ND Chance. We hope that you'll check that out. We're going to come back in just a minute to wrap up our conversations this afternoon with 2 more blockbuster conversations, and we'll do that in just a moment. I'm Kenny Anderson. It's Second Chance. I hope that you're having a wonderful Memorial Day weekend.
Ooh, yeah. Even when the sun comes up, or when day turns to night, when the raindrops fall out, everything's gonna be alright. Though life is crazy, or as good as it can be, in the midst of adversity, God's been good to me. God is even surely good to so good to me. Come unto me, ye heavy laden, and I will give you rest. He says you try to solve your problems, yes, giving your best. But my child, you must realize where your strength lies. It's not in you. It's from above. Thank you for your love. God, you're so good to me. Whoa. God is so good to me. God
protective, yeah.
So good to me. So lift your arms onto the from whence your help cometh.
It cometh from above.
Know that you are under His care,
and He'll be right there to give you
whatever you need. Yeah,
He is so good to me.
oh, I thank you, Jesus.
Oh Lord,
You heard my cry.
yes you did.
And you pitied me wrong. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus.
He woke me up this morning and started me on my way.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
And let me see the sun shine.
Good to me.
Good to me.
God is good.
God is good. In the midnight hour,
When I need some power,
I get down on my knees and pray.
yes, I do.
And when the Lord is done fixing my situation, everything is okay.
So I'm standing right here to encourage you.
Yes, I am.
'Cause there ain't no limit to what the Lord can do.
No.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Welcome back to the broadcast. I am absolutely delighted to be here with you this afternoon. I tell you, folks, one of the great joys and passions of my life is Sunday afternoon between 2 and 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, when we have a chance to bring you information and inspiration on the Second Chance radio broadcast. And, of course, we've been doing that all afternoon. There have been some amazing conversations that have taken place. And the beat goes on, folks, because we got another couple of great conversations coming up right now. I've got a trio of individuals who are joining me at this time who are going to actually share some important and significant information about a very important event that's coming up, and I'm bringing them all into the conversation at this time. I'm going to introduce them so that you can know exactly who's on the call. And I would strongly encourage you, if you are on Facebook this afternoon near a computer, that you jump on over to the Facebook page at Praise 90.1 FM, that you jump over to the YouTube page at Praise 90.1 FM. You can also check us out live on Second Chance on the Facebook page and my own personal page, Kenny Anderson. We are covering everything this afternoon, including WJOU.org on the net. So don't tell me I was out of town, I couldn't listen to the show. We got you covered on this afternoon. Reverend Dr. Louis Street is a pastor, activist, entrepreneur, and instructor. He was born in the great city of Sacramento, California, and later raised in Atlanta, Georgia. He's a veteran of the U.S. Air Force, and he has worked as a senior prison chaplain, high school teacher, and a research physicist. He, of course, is the founder and senior pastor of Cities of Refuge Christian Church, Disciples of Christ, a church dedicated to serving all those impacted by incarceration. God bless you for that, sir. He serves at Duke Divinity School as a special instructor with the Prison Study Certificate, teaching and assisting with the Prison Study Certificate, helping students to think theologically about prison ministry and restorative justice. He's the founder and executive director of You Are Restored Ministries. I love that name. A nonprofit organization that provides God's restorative love to the incarcerated. There's a word in that, folks. Returning citizens, families, and youth impacted by incarceration. What a powerful ministry. In addition to all of that, Dr. Touted also works with Repairs of the Breach Incorporated as a coordinator of seminary and religious institution opportunities. Dr. Touted, welcome to the broadcast this afternoon.
So glad to be here with you, Brother Anderson. Thank you for having me.
Listen, it's great to have you. Let me just introduce my other guests in here as well who are part of this conversation today. He's none other than my man, the Bishop, Reverend Fred Whitlow II. Of course, Fred serves as the Huntsville lead for the Huntsville Poor People's Campaign, Alabama, and founder of executive director of No More Dirty Incorporated, a 501 public charity that identifies, develops, and provides ongoing 21st century solutions, urban interventions, and community initiatives to transform lives for the better, especially individuals in underserved, disenfranchised areas. Basically, my brother gets down in the trenches. What's up, Brother Fred?
What's going on, Doc? How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Hanging out with you and all these wonderful guests.
Hey, look, it's been a minute, man. I'm glad to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Well, welcome back. and all for such a great reason. Also with us this afternoon is Kathy Jones. She's president of the League of Women Voters of Alabama. She's an Alabama native. She's worked as a space flight systems engineer and a project manager at NASA Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville until she did the smart thing and retired in 2016, embracing the best job title in the world, retiree. I love it. That's all right. In the summer of 2017, with the guidance of the League of Women's Voters of Alabama, she established and led the Tennessee Valley Local League, as well as serving as the Tennessee Valley Voter Services Director from 2017 to 20. She served as the Alabama League of Women Voters Secretary from 19 to 21 and is currently president of the Alabama League. Kathy, welcome back to the broadcast. I think you're on mute, Kathy.
I came off mute.
Yes, you're
I was on mute, so I would not interrupt. So I'm really glad to be here. Thank you for hosting us here again today, and it's so good to see familiar faces. And Reverend Touted, I'm so glad to meet you.
Yes, likewise.
It is an honor, Reverend Touted. I'm going to start with you because we got this big event coming up on June 18th. I'm calling it an event. Actually, it's an experience. It's a calling. It's a mission. It's so many things, I think, that breathe life into some relevant experiences that people are having today. Mass Poor People's and Low Wage Workers Assembly, Moral March on Washington and to the polls. Tell me a little something about what this march is all about.
Oh, Anderson, Kenny, I'm so glad to be here with the Bishop and the Kathy as well. Yes, this march is more than a march. It's more than an experience. It's a meeting. It's a meeting. It's a gathering. Really, it started back in 2020 where we wanted to move forward, an in-person meeting, but because of COVID, we had to pull back, gather some more people, talk a little bit more, and just be able to see what's going on. Because take a look at what's happening in the pandemic. With the pandemic right now, in our reports, we showed that people living poor in countries up to 5 times more likely die because of COVID. On top of that, compared to wealthier counties, those that are vaccinated rates don't account to the disparity. What we see, man, is really, as I said before, a meeting of people gathering together. And you mentioned it, Kenny. You mentioned it earlier that it's for those that are low wealth, those that are poor, those are children, LGBTQ, those that are impacted in several different ways. And for me, what I'm looking at it in this light is that Howard Thurman said back in his book on Jesus and the Disinherited, those whose backs are against the wall. And those whose backs are against the wall are all those that we have listed and more. You know, those that have worked and tried to fight for 15. You know, those that are struggling, that are poor, those that are low wealth. All those are coming together at this time because enough is enough. People are trying to help them in different ways. People are saying that we're going to do this, but enough is enough. And those with clergy need to stand right beside them. Those that are not clergy need to stand there. So we're coming together for a meeting where everybody's going to speak, but it's not just Bishop Barber speaking, or co-chair Reverend Liz Theo Harris speaking, but it's those that are impacted. Those that are impacted are coming to speak their truth, coming to speak their struggles, coming to speak, and we want to hear from them. And so I invite everyone to come at this meeting that we're gathering together, because it's so important in a time such as this. We come off of COVID and we have all these people that are dying. We just reached 1 million that have died in the U.S. And we need to come together now more than ever for this important meeting to support, to gather, to come together in a fusion type of way, a fusion movement to support all those, all race, all creeds, all religions, all ethnicities, all sexualities coming together in a time such as this. It's needed. It's needed.
Minister Whitlow,
yes,
there are people who would say or ask the question, what would Jesus do? There are other people who will do what Jesus would do. They won't just ask the question. They'll roll their sleeves up. They'll get down in the trenches. They won't ask who, but they will empower me. And they will arm themselves and equip themselves to be a part of this battle. I'm asking you this question about the perspective of what this march means, because I know you are a trench warrior. I know where your heart is. I know where your work has been. And I just hope that you'll share for a few moments about why even this experience must transcend the experience itself, meaning that people are going to have to come back home and roll those sleeves up and get busy. Talk a little bit about the perspective of this process.
So, and that's an excellent question. So, Kenny, and to everyone listening, the Poor People's Campaign, the reason why this is such a very important, and I mean very important movement, is because it is a movement that is helping others, and I'm talking about across the board, where they can be able to not only receive and understand the purpose of unity, be able to change their life and their trajectory, but it's actually the tenets of what we're talking about and what we're marching for, and what you'll hear on June 18th. It's really a cry of, listen, we have to have livable wages to become not only self-sufficient, but also to become the individuals in America that can really reach their dream. I mean, taking care of your family, understanding dynamics, understanding the beauty of diversity and equity and inclusion. And so this movement is bringing a lot of people together from all walks of life. And then on top of that, it's important because at the end of the day, listen, we say we are a nation under God. We say that we have to do what is necessary and needful for people that are underserved, marginalized, and I mean communities which house these people and people at large. And then we come together and we can share these tenets and these demands, and you're hearing it from someone who is living in a county where the water is so impure, it's toxic. That's one thing versus someone saying, man, we need to make sure the water's clean. Because now it's literally not just boots on the ground, but you're actually engaged in an experience and a movement of, I didn't know that's actually happening now. So sometimes we just have to put it on Front Street and in everyone's face. And Doc, I see you crude in there, but it's we are going forward. We're not going back, not one step backward. Yeah. If we're going to be the America that we should be and that we've always declared to be, these things must be addressed.
Kathy, I am, like so many other people, deeply concerned about voter suppression and other efforts to keep people away from the basic fundamental rights that we deserve as a totality of Americans in this nation, and even around the world in terms of freedoms that should be expressed in democratic environments. But yet we see more and more laws being enacted to keep people, typically people who are disenfranchised, people who are marginalized, people who are living in poverty, away from a basic fundamental right that we all should have. And of course, you're squarely in the center of addressing this challenge of voting rights, voting access, and more. And this particular march means a lot to you too, as you lead out with this initiative. Talk to me about this from your perspective.
Well, and then
Well, go ahead.
I was asking Kathy.
Okay, my bad. Yes, go ahead.
I was just going to say that when we had a panel with the Poor People's Campaign Tri-Federated Chairs, and they were explaining the purpose of the march, and it was so closely aligned with everything that we're trying to address through our advocacy and then our voter services programs. And one of the things that you see over and over again is the laws that have been enacted in Alabama are targeted to make it harder to vote. And that is it. And, when you see the rest of the country upset about all the new laws that are being enacted since 2020, by the state legislatures, it's basically other states are coming down to where Alabama is. And now in Alabama, you're seeing laws that are being passed, not because there was a problem during the elections, but because people are trying to proactively prevent your ability to respond to a problem. They're also looking for ways to limit the ability of poor communities from being able to get funding to protect the health and safety of their voters and to protect and to carry out elections that have security as well as respecting the rights of voters to be safe. And so when we talked to them, it was so clear that everything that's on their agenda for the moral agenda is aligned with what we hold most important. And we are seeing in the last 5 years since the 1901 Constitution was passed with an open, recognized intent to codify white supremacy. It wasn't until 2017 that you saw that they finally defined 40 items that were moral turpitudes. Every one of those, except for treason, was of what we would consider more of a lower income crime. So there's so many examples where Alabama could do a whole lot better, but it's hasn't made it yet. And so we're looking for an opportunity to partner with Poor People's Campaign to find a way to basically try to find a way to bring us up and make it a more equitable and just state.
Reverend 3, I'm gonna refer to the elephant in the room. So in 1995, I went to the Million Man March, experience I'll never forget. And I left there that day inspired by the call to action of Minister Louis Farrakhan. Among the things that he said that day was that, I'm just paraphrasing, don't really care what you do, but do something. Do you, find you in the context of your community. One of the ways I found me was that I spent the next 10 years engaged in something that you feel very passionate about, prison ministry. And I would visit Limestone Correctional Facility once a month, and I would visit the Huntsville City jails once a week. I did that for 10 years. And at the time I stopped, I felt I had invested everything I could in that process. And because I'm involved in so many things, I sat that ministry to the side. And here's a point I'm making. What I heard that day was not just a corporate call to action. So the larger group needs to do something. I heard an individual call to action. When you go back home, what are you going to do? You need to get off the bench and get in the game. Can you talk a little bit about what the expectation should be for those who go to this in terms of returning to their communities and getting in the game?
Oh man, you said it. That's it right there. That's what we want people to do, to get in the game. You can't just be on the sidelines. You have to be able to get in the game and be involved. So get in there. We're not asking anymore. We're not just sending a letter, but we're demanding. We're demanding that the voices of those whose backs are against the wall, those who are marginalized, those who society tries to forget about, those that society tries to push down or label, we are demanding that their voices be heard, right? And in hearing their voices, then you'll hear about that demand of living wages. You'll hear about the health care. You'll hear about the voting rights. You'll hear about all of this. And so when somebody's incarcerated, since you talked about incarceration, it's not just one person, but it's a whole family that's impacted, right? It's not just a family, but it's the community, it's the city, right? It impacts everybody around. So once we come to this meeting, right, and this day of declaration, then we ought to own it. And when you own something, you go back and you tell somebody and say, hey, this is what's taking place. We need to change that's what's happening. If we're really concerned about the heart of this nation, about the moral narrative of this nation, then we need to change some things, not just in the state, in the DC area, but we need to change some things in my neighborhood, right? In my block, in my street, in my community, in my family. There's some things I need to change. So when we take the word, when we take what we're hearing on this meeting and this declaration, then we're going to go back with a new sense of awareness to be able to invite others to say, hey, I want to join this Poor People's Campaign. I want to join this Repairs of the Breach to change some things in my block, in my neighborhood, because I'm concerned and about all that's happening. I see what's happening to my family. I see what's happening to this world. I see what's happening to this nation. And so I'm so concerned, I want to do something about it.
This is such a rich conversation. I wish I could just go on and on and on, but I've got to bring us to a close. So I got to make sure that people know that there's a bus being chartered from Huntsville and that there's a strong interest to make sure that bus is not a quarter full, half full, 3/4 full, but that bus is overflowing. And that you have plenty of people who come from this community, this caring community. This is where we start putting action where the words are. From this caring community to represent us at this march and then come back home fired up and ready. Kathy or Fred, which one of you want to tell us about those details
Kathy,
quickly?
Go ahead and take care of that one.
All right.
I'd like to say a few things in terms of that.
Okay. All right. There are buses leaving from all over the state. Huntsville is lucky enough to have one bus. As I looked last night, there were 31 people needed to be able to fill up that bus. And so we need to get people to contact, call 205-677-6107, Alabama Poor People's Campaign, to get a seat on the bus.
Give that number 2 more times because people are looking for something to write with.
Okay, 205-677-6107 to get a place on the bus. And that'll be for any of the buses for Alabama, but especially here in Huntsville, we need to fill it up.
All right, one more time.
All right, 205-677-6107.
And
that's Alabama Poor People's Campaign.
And you may be listening to this conversation this afternoon. Just share this. Share it. Share it with your Facebook circle of friends. Share it with your YouTube, with your distribution list through the YouTube site. Let people know about what's going on. There are people who want to be engaged. There are people who are looking to be involved. Maybe they missed this information opportunity today, but you're not here by accident listening to it today. We want you to respond to it in a positive way. Don't just let it pass you by, because here's what we do too often. We let it pass by because we think it's not our thing, and then all of a sudden we react to something that happens on the back end. This is a chance to be proactively engaged in something that can make a difference. Like Reverend Threet says, it's time out for taking it and not responding to it. It's time out for being living in a existence of paralysis on the sidelines or being overwhelmed by stuff. It's time out for accepting less than what we deserve. It's time out for those things. And we got to get people moving in the right direction. I really hate to do this, but I got to end the conversation because I've got more to talk about today on this great Memorial Day segment. And I certainly appreciate Reverend Threet. Thank you for being here. I'm going to reach out to your people again so that we can have another conversation and maybe even a post conversation so that you can reflect with us on the experience of the march and maybe some action steps that come from that. So thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Kenny. Forward together.
All right. Yes, sir. Yes, absolutely. Kathy, thank you for being us, and thank you for all that you do with the league.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate every one of you.
And Fred, you just got it going on all burners, brother. I mean, you just covering it from No More Dirty. You're covering it from the march. I mean, you're the housing authority, brother. You're doing it all, man. And we appreciate you. and your ministry in this community. We appreciate you being the hands and the feet of Jesus on a consistent basis. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thanks for having us. And again, join the movement. It's time.
All right. Thank you so much, folks. I appreciate you. All right. We are in a beautiful space right now, folks, and I'm just working on getting us together here. There we go. I'm going to keep the love flowing here this afternoon because we absolutely have the privilege of continuing our conversation today with another trio of individuals who are going to provide some great information for us. And I tell you, if there wasn't so much going on, we wouldn't have so much to talk about. But there's so much going on, and we have so much to talk about, and we certainly appreciate that. I want to introduce my trio of guests at this time. Ms. C. Kelly Brinson is a 37-year careerist with the Department of Defense and a servant on the Hope Community Church staff, to include the Embrace Mental Health Ministry Outreach Public Relations Point of Contact. She released her first book titled Path to Purpose, 52 Words and Life Applications for Self-Empowerment, and she is CEO of Gen 3 Life Coaching Consulting, LLC. Kelly, welcome to the broadcast. I can't hear you.
Hi, Kenny. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Good to hear you. Good to know that you're there.
I'm here.
All right. So, the Facebook folks saw you, but the radio folks said, what's up? Lee Perry is here with us this afternoon. Lee has been married for over 45 years to his wife, Rena Perry. They've been blessed with 2 children and grandchildren. Mr. Perry is currently working as a client partner with a Fortune 500 information technology company and is also a U.S. Air Force veteran. This is the second U.S. Air Force veteran we've had on the show today. He's also serving as the executive pastor at Hope Community Church in Huntsville. His mission is leading and mentoring in family, business, and community. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Glad to be here.
Good to have you here today. And Bishop Ava Farr is a dedicated pastor of the Hope Community Church in Huntsville. Bishop Farr saw a need to help diminish the stigma about mental health in the church and the community. And when God gave her the vision for Embrace Mental Health Ministries, she wrote the vision and made it plain as the Bible tells us to do, and recruited a team of individuals who also had the heart for the vision that would take the vision and run with it. Bishop Farr and her team are excited to offer useful tools to the church and community, along with a certified counselor who facilitates the session currently being held at Hope Community Church. Bishop Farr, welcome to the broadcast.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
It is great to have all of you here today. Of course, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. We have been drumming that up all month long. I'm excited every May because I am a professional mental health counselor. Spent about 20 years in that space working on helping to improve the quality of people's lives, and then transition out of practicing into teaching, and I'm doing other things as well. But I'm very, very much supportive of these kinds of things, especially at what I call the granular level. That's at the level of the community, not just up here in the clouds talking about feeling better, but really getting down where the people are. And that's what this is all about. Bishop, tell me a little bit about the vision. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, Embrace Mental, again, thank you for having me, but Embrace Mental Health Ministry is an outreach ministry of our church, of Hope Community Church. And I can say, can you hear me?
Yes.
And I can say that my quest started when I found myself in need of mental health services. After a devastating divorce, I looked high and low to try to find help. I had lost 3 close family members within a year's time, and trying to find grief and counseling services, especially through the church, was very difficult. I only found one African-American church in North Alabama that even offered such services. And I thought that was kind of travesty, because I wanted mental health counseling or direction from a Christian standpoint and from a culturally competent point of view. And so while we found a lot of our other denominational or other ethnic group churches, such as the Methodist Church or whatever, had those resources available. We didn't. And Hope Community Church is a premier African American church, and so I went to the pastor and thank God for leadership that is not afraid to pioneer, and our visionaries, Bishop Dr. Charles Rogers and Sister Carlette Rogers. We met and we became in agreement. What can we do through our ministry to serve the people post-pandemic? It's going to take more than a hoop and a holler. It's going to take more than us gathering together. But how can we serve the needs of the people? And you and I both know after this pandemic, mental health statistics are rising higher. So we decided to move forward with the help and with the approval of ministry, and gathered a team of talented, gifted, passionate people. And that's how it all began.
I want to commend you, even in this moment. I'm just impressed to do so. I want to commend you for allowing God's Spirit to lead you into this space, to answering that call, to doing something that is vitally needed and relevant every single day. To know that we have people in our care. When I say our care, our spiritual care, we can never treat the whole person by looking past their emotional and mental needs. And we have to be able to provide secure, safe areas for them to be able to experience hope and healing. And this is a commitment that you all have made. This is not just someone in the congregation that decided to do something, asked to do something, was perhaps given permission to do it, but not necessarily support it. You formed a team. You have a strategic approach to this process. You are invested in it. You're serious about this thing. And that's exactly what, as serious as any evangelistic campaign should be, this should be squarely at the center of people's lives. As you said, our pandemic has wreaked havoc in our lives, and we've only seen the tip of the iceberg emotionally in terms of the impact that it will have on people's lives. And Lee, as you sit here and listen to what we're talking about right now, you think about why this experience presents so much potential value to people's lives. What would you say in response to that in terms of here's a service, here's a ministry, here's an opportunity that we have to offer? What is the importance and the value of that to you?
Extremely important. We both know, I know from the Christian faith standpoint, that Jesus came to make us whole. Sozo, salvation includes not only salvation of your physical being, but also mind, body and spirit. And so for so long in the church, we've kept quiet. We've not addressed certain issues. We were told to go pray, go read a scripture, or keep going, when people are doing the best they can just by putting one foot in front of the other. The Bible clearly tells us that we have a high priest that's, we don't have a high priest that's not been touched by the feelings of our infirmities. And so we can't ignore feelings. We can't ignore psychological, emotional, cultural aspects of our being. And so I think that it's time that the church began to normalize these conversations, to not make people feel that they're less than people of faith because they have mental challenges, but to embrace and to welcome all God's people so that we all can be made whole. Extremely important for our spiritual well-being, extremely important for our mental and emotional well-being. And if we're going to minister to the whole person.
And I would say, Brother Anderson as well, that I've learned that in my 67 years of living, that out of pain comes passion, and out of passion comes purpose. Our 42-year-old son suffered from mental illness for well over 30-something years, and as a father, actively engaged in that process. And we lost our son on February the 24th of this year, 2 days after my birthday. And it really stemmed from mental health and mental illness. And because a lot of times what you'll find is that person that has the mental health that mental illness, and if it's not diagnosed early enough, what happens is, as you well know, they self-medicate. So now it turns into a dual diagnosis because, they were initially dealing with mental illness. It wasn't diagnosed early, and then they began to self-medicate. Now you've got an addiction problem. And it was the addiction that really took him out. And so I don't want any parents or any family to have to go through that, because I have the resources as far as the ability to get those resources. But yet still, it was a tremendous struggle throughout that process. And, so I'm very, very passionate about, helping others help themselves through this situation, because when he was first diagnosed, we were new parents. We really didn't understand, what this thing was, and especially in our community, it was taboo to even talk about it. In some ways, it still is. So, as Bishop Farr said, the whole thing around Embrace is enhancing mental wellness and education, and helping those to be able to, that really can't help themselves understand it. And because we all suffer from some kind of mental wellness or mental health issues, even if we don't know it.
Yeah, and if we haven't, we will. And again, in the context of the times that we're living in right now, with so much going on around us on such a consistent basis, the kinds of pressures that people are experiencing right now, whether they be economic or relational or career or educational, spiritual, those things are not sustainable. Those pressures are not sustainable. They will reach a point where they will either force you to seek help, or they will work towards your destruction. And so it's important to be able to get ahead of this process through what we're talking about right now. Kelly, Lee alluded to something that we, of course, fight through often, and why this month is so important. And the theme of this month is actually Together for Mental Health, because the overall mental health of people is so important and so valuable. It's a piece that we oftentimes miss or skip over in defense of our own lives. Like we'll say, I'm just too busy, or I got something going on. And the reality is we don't have time. We cannot afford not to take care of ourselves. We have to make self-care a priority. But the reality is that for a lot of people, stigma is still a huge part of this. It's like, I'm not going to go talk to a counselor. They'll say things like, I'm not crazy. They don't want to be seen engaged in those very positive, productive environments that can literally save their lives. What is your message to people as you share the message of embrace and the opportunity that's being presented, especially in this faith community?
Well, basically, I meet people where they are, non-judgmental, sharing and showing love. We're introducing the group as a self-help type group. It's not clinical, although we have a licensed counselor to come in. We're just inviting them in. Basically, our first session was just have a talk. And the individuals opened up when they felt like they had a safe environment, safe, comfortable, and we were transparent with them. They opened up.
Yeah, and to the point that you're making on that, Bishop, the issue of trust, one of the reasons I think that people have such a hard time opening up is because they don't feel like they can be trusted. You said something earlier that I thought was really profound. I want to come back to that for a moment. The notion that the church should be the sanctuary for our problems. The church should be the place of healing for our adversity. And in so many instances, the church is the nail in the coffin.
Yes.
Just talk a little more about why this is so important in that context.
Yes, absolutely. We know studies have proven that, especially in our community, the African American community, but even other ethnic groups as well, that most people, the first person that they go to speak to is a clergy, be it rabbi, preacher, whatever. And so we have to be prepared to receive these people in a non-judgmental fashion, as Minister Brinson just stated. And so it's important that we normalize conversation. Sometimes I think, We can be so heavenly minded till we're no earthly good in terms of over spiritualizing everything. And I think that what we're realizing is that, as Minister Kelly said, we have to meet people where they are. They're coming to the church for help. And so as a part of a holistic approach, we have to be honest enough to realize that we have people that are suffering from different mental health issues. And so, yes, they come to the preacher first, and we tell them to go pray, or we tell them to go read a scripture, or something like that, and we're doing a disservice. But I think now our eyes are opening, and I think, thank God for that we're understanding that we are a part of the solution. And so while we are not clinical, we do offer that support. We offer, I think our message is you are not alone, and to begin to be transparent and allow people to know you're not the only one. We had a Me Too movement for women not too long ago, but you're not alone. And so we know our statistics show us that 1 in 5 adults have in the United States suffer from some sort of mental illness. 1 in 20 suffer from a serious mental illness. And moreover, 1 in 6 children ages 6 to 17-year-olds suffer with a mental illness. We've got to begin to address it in the church. It's our duty, and it's also scripturally based and sound to do so.
Between the age of 15 and 24, suicide is the second leading cause of death. Think about that for a moment. 15 to 24. Think about that for a minute. I think about myself as a young 15-year-old, and the whole world was in front of me. And even though things were not as good as they could have been, it was going to be okay. And of course, I know support systems have a lot to do with that, and the opportunity that you have to be in relationship with other people have a big part to doing that. We got to do a better job of what's going on in this life. We got to be able to be in a position to preserve life rather than to destroy life or undermine life or just ignore people's pain because it makes us uncomfortable, which is oftentimes what happens.
We know that culturally the church is a great part of our existence and who we are, and it's very important and significant that the church take a front seat in this. We have a program, Youth Engage, which is another acronym, but Engage, a program that we piloted here at the church that we're developing that we can take into the school as an after-school program. And so that we can try to grab them, early. We know 50% of lifetime mental health issues, symptoms appear before the age of 14, 75% before the age of 17. So that means, they're getting younger and younger. And like you said, children ages 10, to 34. In some areas, Mr. Anderson, they have suicide as the leading cause of death among children, and not just the second leading cause. And in the state of Alabama, our statistics, we are double the percentile of the whole United States. So we have an issue here in this area. And so Embrace is just one. We'd like to partner with other faith-based entities that have the same idea or same passion so that we can address it and arrest as much of it as we can.
This is great, and I certainly value and appreciate everything that's been said this afternoon. I'm hoping that you'll be able to give some information about how people can learn more about this initiative, how they can reach out to you and talk about it and find out about perhaps opportunities to replicate it, to partner with you, and more. Who wants to speak to that?
I want to mention First Mondays, and I'm allowed Pastor Perry to give you the information, but our First Mondays, every first Monday, we have at Hope Community Church, 1111 Pulaski Pike, Huntsville, Alabama. We have our First Mondays workshop. And this is this is a group of all adults. Everyone is welcome. The community is welcome, where we come together. Not only do we disseminate information, but we also have a time of sharing. Everything is confidential. It is facilitated by our licensed professional counselor, and everyone is welcome. And also stay tuned for community announcements about our Engage Youth encounters. And those have proven to be extremely beneficial. And Pastor Perry has information on how you can get in touch with us.
All right, Pastor.
Correct. And the thing and Brother Anderson, Bishop always does me like that. she'll give all the information to say, then I can say what I'm going to have to say. But we are developing a website, and more to come on that. And one of the best ways to reach out to us is through the church, Hope Community Church at 1111 Pulaski Pike. And the one thing that I will say is please get engaged. One of the lessons that I've learned is that mental health issues don't just go away on their own. It requires some significant action, even if it's just learning how to communicate to someone that's dealing with a mental illness or mental health problem. I didn't know how to communicate to my son, and I think in some ways I did more damage than anything else because of that. And so that's why we're here. We're here to help educate. We're here to support. We're here to make an awareness. So please, if you want to reach out to us, reach out to the church, and we'll make sure someone gets back to you. And
or
we'll
the email address. Email embracemh with mental health, embracemh@yahoo.com, or we have our own phone number, 947-313-5040. That's 947-313-5040. And God bless you.
Well, this has been some great information today, and what an awesome way to round out our Memorial Day opportunity to share information and inspiration to people as we close out National Mental Health Awareness Month. This is a month that people should be inspired to learn more, but you don't stop on May 31st. You keep it going, because this is a year-round challenge that people are facing. Perhaps you face something, perhaps it's sporadic, perhaps it's a little more chronic. Maybe it's something that's coming down the line. Maybe it's something that's not affecting you, but it's affecting somebody that you know. This is just good, valuable information to have, folks. It's always better to be prepared in case of emergency. You know how we used to always hear about have this available and that available in case of emergency? That's what we're talking about. In case the crisis comes, you be better prepared to deal with that. Bishop Farr, Pastor Perry, Minister Brinson, thank you for being here today and sharing with us. We're going to invite you back at some point to give us perhaps an update on Embrace and how things are going, so that we can hear more about your progress and your success as you continue to be led by the Spirit of God. Thank you for being with us today.
And thank you, Kenny, for the opportunity.
All right. Thank you, and have a great day. Folks, I tell you, we could not have had a better opportunity to wrap up our broadcast on today. With all of that great information, we're going to make sure that we post all of that stuff on the Facebook page, the YouTube page, so that you'll be able to get all that good information. I went over a little bit today, but it's okay, because whenever we're sharing good information, folks, you should be soaking it up. And, of course, it is a special holiday weekend. We wish everyone a happy Memorial Day weekend. Spend some time reflecting on the sacrifices that so many people have made on behalf of our country. And the many sacrifices and lives that have been lost as a consequence of that. That's what this weekend is all about, reflecting on them, honoring them, and more. We'll be back in just a moment to tell you about what's coming up on next Sunday. I'm Kenny Anderson. It's Second Chance, and I hope that you're having an amazing afternoon.
Perhaps you have some ideas, comments, or suggestions that you would like to share, or perhaps you'd like to be a guest on the broadcast. We'd love to hear from you. Please feel free to email Kenny Anderson at mxlife@aol.com, or you can like us on the Second Chance Facebook page. That's 2ND Chance. And now, back to more of Second Chance with Kenny Anderson.
This has been an incredible Sunday afternoon, folks. I want to thank you, first of all, for joining us this afternoon on this very special Memorial Day holiday weekend for the broadcast Second Chance. My guest today, Dr. Marco Clark, the founder and CEO of the Richard Wright Schools in Washington, D.C. We thank him for a terrific conversation. I replayed a segment of a conversation that I had with Eric E.T., the hip-hop preacher Thomas. And, of course, always happy to have him as part of my platform. I had a great conversation with Keisha Hammonds, the president of Miss Black Rocket City Scholarship Foundation, and the current queen, Nevaeh Eggleston, was on the broadcast today, and we certainly appreciate them coming on and sharing the great information that they had to share today. Also, what an extraordinary opportunity to be able to talk this afternoon with Reverend Dr. Louis Threet, pastor, activist, entrepreneur, and instructor. He is the senior pastor of Cities of Refuge Christian Church. And, of course, he is serving at Duke Divinity University or Duke Divinity School as a special instructor with the Prison Studies Certificate Program. Kathy Jones, president of the League of Women Voters of Alabama. Minister Fred Whitlow, who is the currently the Huntsville Poor People's Campaign, Alabama, and founder, executive director of No More Dirty Incorporated. And then we wrap things up with a conversation about a mental health initiative, a faith-based mental health initiative called Embrace, with Bishop Ava Farr, Pastor Lee Perry, and Minister Kelly Brinson. Thank you so much, everyone, for a great conversation today. Now, you can check out Second Chance on the Praise 90.1 FM Facebook page, as well as the Praise 90.1 FM YouTube page. You can also check us out at WJOU.org on the net, 90.1 FM locally, and of course, I always post it on the Second Chance and Kenny Anderson Facebook pages as well. On next Sunday, it is What's Going On, my social and political roundtable. I have some combination of the fellows in the studio talking about all that's going on in the world today, and certainly things that you're probably talking about right now as well. In the meantime, I hope that you have a great rest of the day. Once again, honoring those who served and paid the ultimate price this weekend, Memorial Day weekend. We wish you the best. Remember, as always, knowledge is better than riches. Have a great afternoon, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you for tuning in to Second Chance. We hope that the information that was shared has been a blessing to you and that your life will be enriched as a result of it. We'd love to hear from you, so please send your email comments to Kenneth Anderson at mxlife@aol.com. That's mxlife@aol.com. And check out our Facebook page, 2ND Chance. That's 2ND Chance. In the meantime, have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next week. Good day.